Good morning, Tuesday morning. Welcome to Money Truth Moments with the amazing Judy Copenbarger. Hi, Judy. Thanks for joining us again this morning.
My pleasure, Carlos, and good morning to you.
What a great week, right? We're off to a great start. I'm always looking forward to our Tuesday morning show, and I'm sure a lot of folks listening and following us are also looking forward to what other words of wisdom they're going to learn about today. So I'm very excited about today's topic. So before I get to that, how was your weekend?
It was a great weekend. A lot of good family time, a little workout in the garden, and I got to spend a little time with my chickens. So that's always a good weekend for me.
You got to tell folks a little bit about your chickens.
Oh, I love my chickens. They're my girls. We don't have any roosters because we wake up way too early, but we've got probably 20 or so breeds. So we have every size of eggs, every color of eggs, every size and color of chicken. We have the little Saramas, like little show chickens that just, run everybody around, all the way up to the Jersey Giants. And
Wow.
they're good producers, but they're just really sweet. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with them.
One of these shows, we're going to have to set you up around your little chickens so we can all take a look at your little, your girls for sure.
That sounds great. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, they're great.
So today we're discussing today the topic of married with children. And this is a topic that I think a lot of parents, a lot of folks can relate to. And there's different questions that I want to ask you that are very interesting and folks really want to know. So for example, let's just, jump right into it. One of the questions that comes up is how do we raise our children, right? And one of the key questions that keeps coming up is how much to spend now versus, or saving for later.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny when people say, how do I raise my kids? You raised 5 kids and they all turned out okay. How do I do that? And I always say, you don't raise kids, you raise corn. Children
True.
are more like a vineyard. You have to work with it and you have to trim it and you have to let it grow and then trim it again. And you're always shaping the vines. Corn, you just like plant and water, right? So you don't raise kids, you train them. And I think particularly when it comes to financial issues, training them is so important. And I think it should start day one, when they're just learning to, if they're big enough to not put the pennies in their mouth, they should have their own money and they should learn to count their money. And in fact, the thing about counting is when they're little, even way before preschool, you want to count forward and backwards at the same time. So you want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but also count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because it helps them later in math when they're doing subtraction and division. If they've always gone forward, they're going to really struggle when it comes to those math concepts. So that's just a little aside, something I learned. Yeah. But I think as soon as they're old enough to understand counting and understand money, they should have their own. Because I'll tell you, the kids that are 10, 15, 20, 35, 40, 50, those children that didn't get to practice with money are the ones that really suffer. And those are the ones that in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, we're just now helping them learn how to manage cash flows and how to manage cash reserves and how to have it and how much to have because they never got to practice. So if you think about a child's experience, a typical experience is a child that gets, a check or a $20 bill or a $10 bill from grandma on Easter or on their birthday, they get a few little cash gifts. And what do we say? Save it, put it in the bank, right? And so we tell them, save, stash it away. But they never get to learn, well, when do I take it out and how do I take it out? How do I actually use it and manage it and protect it and grow it? If we don't let them practice that, they're going to think their whole life, either money just shows up, go to the wall, mom, go to the wall. The money just flies out of the wall if you get that card, right?
Yeah.
Or they're going to think, I can't spend money ever. I have to just save it because that's what they were taught. So it doesn't work for me when kids get money for their birthday or they have a little job and they put money in the bank and then mom goes and gets it or dad goes and gets it and they go to Target and they buy their bicycle, whatever it is. They didn't get to practice managing the money and making those choices. So from age 2, 3, 4, definitely by 5, they should be choosing. You go to Target or you go to the big toy store, wherever you go. Hopefully not Amazon because that doesn't help you manage money. It just shows up.
Right.
One number changes to another number, and the box shows up. So to practice, they actually have physical money. It can be a card. You have the $20 bill or whatever it is, and you take them down the toy aisle or wherever, whatever their thing is. Maybe it's the game aisle, whatever it is. And they pick out what they want, and then they get to go count out the money. I know it sounds old-fashioned these days, but that's how they know the value of money and how to manage it. Let them practice. Let them make mistakes. You give them a couple of bucks and they buy a toy that breaks, or they buy, a bunch of bubble gum and chew it up and it's gone. And it's like, oh, gee whiz, I had money. I used it for that thing, and now that wasn't a very good value. Let them have that pain. Let them have that experience, because next time you'll think, well, do you really want to buy that toy? Or do you want to save a couple more dollars and get one that will last longer or give you a better experience? What would you like to do? So let them practice. That's just, I think, that was a long-winded answer, but they've got to practice money. It's not intuitive. They've got to learn. They've got to practice and have those experiences.
So kind of follow up a question with that is basically, to what extent do we entitle our kids, right? And you obviously covered what your kids know about money, but I think there is that piece where sometimes kids, and I don't know also if you have an only child, the only child syndrome sometimes too, that I don't know if that comes into play, but I've also seen it, where there's multiple siblings as well too. And some of them feel it's that entitlement for our kids, right? And unfortunately we see that in adults. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think so much affluence, right? Americans live really well for the most part, and the money just shows up and you just go buy what you want, eat what you want, live where you want. There's just so many choices here. It really is the land of opportunity. But the other side of that is the last couple generations, I've seen parents raise their children with, yes, 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 we can do that. You can have that. And they don't have to go get it. And there's so much value in work. Work is not a 4-letter word. It's not a bad word. There's value in work. You feel good. You feel affirmed. You're using your gifts, talents. You're growing in those things. Work is not a bad thing. So even, going back to these little toddlers or these young school-aged kids, having them earn their money rather than just having it fall from heaven like manna. Oh, money just shows up around here. They've got to have that experience of, I did something of value for someone who now compensated me, and I received value for that. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift that you can give your kids. So a lot of times I'll have discussions with young families about allowance. Should we have allowance? How much should it be? What should they have to do to get it? I don't think money should just show up every Friday because it's Friday. Life isn't like that, right? I don't get a paycheck just because it's the 15th. So
yeah.
Why would we train children that way? You've got to do something. You've got to provide value, trade your time or trade your talents, draw a picture for your mom to put on the refrigerator, and it's art and you get paid for the art, whatever it is. You can do these things to help them learn they have to give something for the money to come to them. And you can do that so early. So when it comes to allowance, I like to call it earning money, right? Earning chores is, for some people not a good, they think, oh, I got to milk the goats, right? Or milk the goats. But they can do earning work. They can do earning tasks. And I love the chore charts. There's so many great homeschoolers are great at this, by the way. They've got these charts with little stickers and little stamps, and they line up their shoes by the door, and they empty the dishwasher, and they set the table, and they sweep the front porch, whatever it is. They can earn money that goes into their system. We actually have a 3-part system. For kids, there's a toddler system, and then there's a regular kid system. Toddlers are not regular people. They're not yet. Right. There's a toddler creed, and it's so true. And the toddler creed says, I am a toddler. It's mine. If I see it and want it, it's mine. If it's broken, it's yours.
Can I use that?
Absolutely. You can look it up. I'm sure you can Google it. It's awesome. It goes through this whole thing. But it's their world is, it's either mine or it's not mine or it doesn't exist. And there's a money plan for those little people, almost people. Once they turn into people, then there's a different program, and they have empathy, and they can actually give, to others. And and help with other household, something in their life that's bigger than themselves. But toddlers don't have that ability yet. It's either mine or it's not, or it doesn't even, it's not even in my world. So there's systems for that. We've got all kinds of curriculum and programs that can help parents with that. But they need to learn early how to manage their money. I think that's the big point here. Start early. It's never too soon to start learning about money, and model for them what you're doing. Around the dining room table, when you get the bills, show them. We're paying the power bills. We're paying the phone bills. It doesn't just show up. We have to go do something. Mommy or daddy or both go to work or do whatever they do, for work. A lot of people don't go to work now. They work at home, but they see you work
right.
the door. Don't bother. I'm working right now. And then when I do that work, then I get compensated this money. And that allows us to go out for pizza. It allows us to, have the lights on and be able to swim in our swimming pool, whatever it is. So I think having those conversations so they know it doesn't just show up, starting early will really serve them well in managing their own money and knowing they're not entitled. They have to do something to get it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Growing up, it was the same thing. Like, you talked about when we got a little bit of money, my parents were always about save it. And that was my dad. It was a driving force, save. The other thing was also, and we talked about this before too, it's easy when you're a kid to think that, like you said, money grows on trees, right? You ask and all of that too. I think also as a parent, once we kind of get to that point, is that everything that we were taught growing up, we don't want to do with our kids, meaning that we don't want to tell them no, because that's all we ever heard is like, no, right? But there's that flip, which is also, it's a fine line, because at the same time, I don't want, like our son, for example, to feel that just because he asks, he's going to get it, and we always, he's into gaming a lot. So if you're a gamer, there's a lot of these programs that get kids by buying what they call skins, right? Just to change the wardrobe on their character. It's nothing tangible, but they get you every time with $10 here, $5 here, and all of a sudden it starts adding up. So those were some of the early lessons trying to teach him as well. It's like, hey man, you realize you're just giving this company money for you're still utilizing the same character. All you do is just changing the outfit. So is that really worth your $20? And at the time for them, it's like, yes, right? But as you get older, one of the aha moments I found when I got older and I started working and not having to depend on mom and dad, period, was when you go to the store, you want to buy something. Now for me, it's like, do I really need it? Mm-hmm. Or is this a want? Mm-hmm. And then it becomes like, then I spend like a half hour in this debate, whether it's like, do I really want this, or I can hold off without it, Mm-hmm. So that finally just hit, and it's just, I'm being more conscientious, when it comes to shopping. And it's something that I want to let him know too. It's like, when you think about even pairs, let's just say pairs of shoes, right? All these high, the kids nowadays are using Champion, which when we grew up, Champion was just a brand. It wasn't really worth what they're really putting it out there. It's just a fad, right? And they have also this brand called High Beast that kids are spending thousands of dollars on a pair of shoes, and it's mind blowing. Yeah. So I had him do the homework and asked him, I want you to go look up that particular pair of shoes that you think you want. It's a $600 shoe. I want you to look up exactly how much does it cost to make, right? And so he did his research, and he says, it only costs about $12 to make. Yeah, now put that in perspective. You're spending $600 on a $12 shoe. And it was like, so I'm slowly trying to get to those moments, but I'm sure a lot of us parents are kind of struggling with this, right? Mm-hmm. The kids don't want to feel left out because, Johnny has the latest and greatest on that, but I don't, and as a parent, you kind of feel bad, but you're kind of trying to do what you can within your means. And the reason I'm sharing all of this is because I want you to also talk about your online mastery program, because I think that's also going to be very valuable. Well, not only we talked about the kids, but we're also need to talk about how do we help the parents as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of that curriculum is designed around that, and it's not just for how to help your kids; it's how to help the whole family. So maybe you have young adult children, or maybe you have adult children with kids of their own, that are coming up, and they just never really got the concepts. So Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program is about all the pillars of finance working together in a collaborative way, because it's easy to solve a problem in one area of finance, but it causes a problem in another area. For example, you have an accountant say, oh, you need cash, to buy a house or something. Go ahead and sell off the stock. Uh-oh, now we have a tax problem. Didn't see it coming. So if you work collaboratively in your financial world, you're going to be able to plan before you implement or take an action that could cause a problem, and you'll be able to avoid so many problems and pitfalls. So the 5 pillars of finance are all included in this book and this online mastery program. It's taxation, it's legal, so it's entities and wills and trusts and powers of attorney and all those legal documents as a family that you might want to consider having, and all the what ifs that might cause you to need one or another of those. And then you have the cash flows and cash reserves part. And then the insurances, which is a big area of protection, not only just life and health insurance, but how much should I have on my car? How much should I have on my house? Liability. Should I have theft insurance if I own a business? How much? And what if I'm a professional? How much insurance? Usually you're required to have it. So in case you make a mistake and hurt someone, there's a way to, make it right.
Mhm.
But how much should you have? It's so easy when you talk to insurance professionals to end up buying too much because they're all on commission, right? So you're going to
Right.
end up having recommendations to get more because they get paid more if you do that. So it just covers all the pillars of finance and all the areas there. And then, of course, investments, that's a big one. That's your banking, that's your real estate and your business interests. And then it's your traditional investment accounts. So like your retirement accounts, your IRAs, your stocks, bonds, mutual fund portfolios. So this whole work, this online mastery program covers all of the areas of finance. It helps you learn exactly what you need to know to distinguish all of the opportunities that you have in every area of finance. So you have a basic understanding and you know really what questions to ask. Might not know all your answers yet because you need to explore exactly what your goals and the outcome is that you desire. But when you have all the tools and you have a basic understanding, oh, I need to really look at that option, or I need to avoid that option. Or maybe it's just a wake-up call to take a look at what you've actually done. Most people do a lot of the right things. Grandpa was right. Grandma was right. Our parents really knew what they were talking about when they said save, when they said you should have insurance, when they said you should, have a really good bank or credit union that you work with, and know a good banker when you're going to, check into a mortgage or something like that, or a car loan. So they gave us good advice. And so a lot of us have put together pieces, of a financial plan.
Right.
We've done a lot of the right things, but it's not working together. It's not efficient. It's not optimized. So our work at Money, Truth, and Life is about optimizing all of that, where you end up paying less tax, right? Sometimes mitigating a lot of the tax. And unless you like to pay more tax, you're not going to like our program if that's your goal. But
Right.
just pay what you owe, but make it little. There's a lot of things you can do that just mitigate so many taxes. So less tax, less fees, less costs. If you have a product, there's cost to it. How do you get no or less costs? And then growth. We want the growth to be as optimized as possible. And sometimes just removing the taxes, just removing the fees, we're optimizing the growth. And, maybe we had a 7% year. It could have been a 12% year without some of those things. It's just knowing what you need to know so you can do better. When you know better, you do better, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that's what this work is all about. Just, empowering yourself, equipping yourself with knowledge so you can be more efficient and more effective with the finances for you and for your family.
Awesome. Folks, thank you for joining us this morning. I know I haven't had a chance to also let you guys know that you can follow Judy at the above link at www.judycopenbarger.com. There's a wealth of information. There's a lot of free content also that will help you guys. The mastery program also is on the website, so you can learn more about it. It is very important, as we talked about today, for Married with Children, how to really bring up our kids in a financially sound way. Obviously, you've been very successful with your own kids, Judy, and you've shared that over several episodes, and we may talk about that in another portion as well too. But folks, if you're just tuning in, make sure that you do visit judycopenbarger.com, share it with your friends, because this is life-changing moments. You get to talk to Judy every Tuesday, submit your questions. I mean, where else are you going to find that opportunity to get an expert in the finance world than watching Money Truth Moments with Judy? So I encourage you guys to share this video, encourage you guys to follow her. She's all over social media. She's also doing a lot of great speaking engagements. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you look on Amazon to find her book, Money Truth Life, which is, by the way, the #1 bestseller for Amazon. So congratulations on that. That's right.
We're so proud of
It is a
It's great.
Oh, it is a great book, folks. If you are not, and you probably can see it a little bit in her background there. She's got the book right behind her. So make sure that you visit the website so you can also order your book copy today as well too. So hey, I know we covered a lot of ground today, but we're also, I think it's that time, right? It's time for that special challenge moment.
It's time.
One of my favorite parts of the show, right? You always give us a great challenge. Last week we talked, I'll let you talk a little bit about last week's challenge.
Yes. Last week, we talked a little bit about transition. So when people are in transition, they want to move to a new place to live. They want to change their job, change their career, change their marriage partner. Sometimes people want to do that.
True.
When people want to do transition, usually they're running from something. And I think the check-in is, am I running from something or to something? Is it I just can't stand this house anymore? There's too many fix-it projects. I just want to get into something new where the grass is greener. Or are you really wanting to have a new place to live for whatever reason? So we talked about just having the outcome in mind when you're getting ready to make a change and really checking into, am I going from something or to something? And being very intentional when you're going to something. And then some action items that you could put together. And I think I might have mentioned a gentleman I was coaching a little over a week ago now, and he wanted to change everything, change his career, change his city, change his state, probably change his marital status. He's a single guy and he'd like to not be. So I was just counseling him. Are you trying to get away from something, or is there really something you're heading to? If you're heading to something, where is that? I mean, you can't just get in your car and drive and hope you end up in Seattle, right? You've got to have a plan. And we're in California, so that would be north. Get on the 5, go north, and don't get off, right? It's just straight up there. But what people do is they just get in their car and just drive, hoping they'll pass something that is exactly their heaven and nirvana all at once, right? And it doesn't always work that way. There's so much efficiency and so much peace that comes from just being intentional. So that was our challenge last week. And I just love some of the comments that have been coming in. I have a challenge for you this week. We're going to turn we're going to turn back to something a little more technical and financial this time. Last week, it was more of a soft skill, the soft side of work and intention. This week, we're going to be a little bit more technical, and it has to do with investments. And here it is. When we're looking at our investments, we want to make sure we always have balance. Balance is how we're going to weather a storm, a financial storm. The market goes way up. That's going to really hurt our bonds and our interest rate things. The market comes way down. That's going to hurt our value in those equities that we own, like stocks and things like that. So we're always looking for balance. So here is your 4-step challenge. The first one, look up the holdings that you have. Like in your IRA, your 401k, they always have this whole menu of things, and you have all these initials. You know, what am I actually invested in? So look it up. Usually, if you're in an employer program, like a 457, a 401k, a 403b, if you're a teacher or a public employee, you will have a portfolio that is either created for you, which is not the cheapest way to do it. It's not the most efficient way to do it. Or something that you chose, 10% of this, 20% of that. You have allocations. So look up your holdings either online if you work for someone, or if you have a statement that comes to your house, if you have a personal IRA or something with a bank or an investment company. Look up what your holdings are. Exactly what are you invested in? So it's kind of like you bought something. What did you buy? You know, if I bought a sweater, put it in the closet, you can go look at it. I want you to go in the closet and look at what you have as holdings in your investment accounts. Okay. That might be a little job for some of you that really don't know or don't care, but you need to know and you need to care.
Right.
Second thing, go online and do a search. there are many search sites, and you might get sucked into some, people selling you stuff. But if you go to Morningstar, Morningstar is the site. All they do is rate mutual funds. They tell you which investments are good for you. So Morningstar will give you a way to search for your symbol. Your symbol is 5 letters. There's also a CUSIP, which is the code. It's like a Social Security card number. But you want to look at the symbol. It's 5 letters, and that'll be the name of your mutual fund. Write down the percent that you have in all the stocks and all the bonds. And they'll tell you on Morningstar you have 70% equity, 30% interest, or 80%, 10%, whatever it is. They'll break it down for you. Write that down next to the 5-letter code. Then you're going to be able to create a pie. So let's say you have 2 mutual funds. One of them is 70-30 and one of them is 80-20. So if they're 50% each, we know you have a 75-25 pie, right? So you want to actually draw that pie. How much do you have in equity? How much do you have in interest? What we're looking for is that balance, remember? So the idea is if you have 50% interest and 50% stock, that means when the stock or equity, that's when you own something, when it's going up, the other side is going down. So stocks and bonds have this inverted relationship. When equity's up, interest is down. When interest is up, equity's down. And that's your bonds and your stock balance. If you have just the right balance, you're going to be able to weather any storm, no matter what happens out there in the economy. And that really helped people in 99. It really helped people in 08. It helped people last year. So anytime there's a lot of transition in the economy, which is good and bad, right? We want to have balance. So let me go back over the 4 steps. First step, look up the holdings that you own. Second, go on Morningstar or go online and find out what the balance is of equity and interest related instruments in that. Write down your percent and then make your pie. So what percentage do I have? And is it the right percentage for me? In the Money, Truth, and Life book and the online mastery program, you'll know exactly what that perfect pie is for you wherever you are in life. That program will also help you. We talked earlier about how much money should we give our kids? How much should we be saving? It helps you find balance there as well. How much should I be saving for later, and how much should I actually be using right now? So it's all about balance. And when you balance properly, you can just thrive and mitigate so many costs and so many mistakes. There's your challenge.
Awesome. That is a really good challenge. And that's also a very technical challenge. So I'm glad you explained it, for sure. So folks, you heard the challenge. Let us know exactly what's your some feedback, please. Put it on the website. Again, follow Judy at judycopenbarger.com. She is on Facebook. She is everywhere on social media, LinkedIn. So post your questions. I guarantee you that Judy will respond to those questions. And this is what we want to make sure that you're getting some of these wisdoms from Judy. Hey, and we actually are at the end of the show, and it's, time flies when you're having fun, right? So I appreciate, again, you being here, taking time to share with all of us more of your wisdom and what we need to do. This has been a great episode for Married with Children. And before we leave, any parting words?
No, just make it a great week. If you're home with your kiddos and trying to do school and all that, just find a way to work with them on money. Let them count their money, let them save their money, and most importantly, let them practice spending their money.
Excellent. All right, folks, tune in next week. Again, 8 o'clock every Tuesday morning for the Money Truth Moments with Judy Copenbarger. Thanks again for watching, and make sure you share out the video and share out the link as well, too. Thanks a lot. See you next week.
Bye-bye.